Patrick Engler, and today we're going to be talking about how to take your scales from just a simple, maybe boring finger exercise to really get the most out of them that you can. So a lot of students don't really like scales when you tell them to practice them, my students included, and a lot of them feel like they're really boring and you're just working your fingers and don't really have context for why scales might be important. So this video is going to cover a few different things that you can focus on when you're practicing your scales so you really get the most out of them. The first thing, and this is kind of the biggest thing that I like to get out of them, and these are two little things combined, and that's tone and air support. So tone, the big one that we always talk about, is that you want to have nice even tone throughout the full range of the instrument. So if you're going through your scales and once you go over the break or anywhere else really, you're having a major tone shift, you want to work on smoothing that out so it's nice and smooth the whole way through. Now, of course, the tone's going to change from low to very high, but the point is from one note to the next, there shouldn't be a major shift. So like I said just a second ago, the biggest one's going to be going over the break, because not only are we moving a lot of fingers, but we're going into a different register as well. And so that's one to work on. And so going with tone, what's going to help that mainly is air support. And obviously you're going to be working on your endurance and your smoothness with your air support, but air support and having good consistent air and really locking in what your air needs to be like for all the range of the instrument, that's really going to help keep that tone nice and smooth. Now, going on, scales are also a great way to help push your range even higher. So if you're stuck maybe right now on high C as your highest note, what we can do is we can work on pushing that higher, and scales are a great place to do that because you're going a very small increment. You're not going much further beyond where maybe the highest part of your range is. You're just going a little bit past that, and so we're able to get up there a little bit easier. So in this example, I'm going to play an F major scale. You can do 3 octaves, and I'm going to show you what I do when I'm working on pushing my range higher. So on the 3rd octave, and for the sake of this example, we'll say that that's where I'm trying to push my range higher, is up to that high F. For the 3rd octave, I take that at double time, so I'm doubling the length of each note. So for the first 2 octaves, I'm playing them in 16th notes. For the 3rd octave, I'm playing at 8th notes. And that helps keep the context of the scale. We're working on the fingers, we're working on the air support, working on the tone, like we just been talking about, but we're also pushing higher and using the tempo to be a little more comfortable with pushing up there. Building off that, scales are a great way to make sure you're practicing with the metronome, first of all, and second of all, to work on that rhythmic feel. Get a sense of pulse and help build that with something simple that we can do repeatedly over and over and really focus on keeping that nice tight rhythm. Next, beyond that, we can treat scales as a phrasing exercise. So if we're just doing our normal, we'll say scale patterns like this, we're going straight through the scales. Like I tell my students, you want to think up and over the top. So the high point of our phrase is the high point of the scale. But we're not aiming just for that high F. We're aiming for actually the E after it. So we go up and over. So you don't get to the top and stop. We want to go through that, so we keep it going, and we get all the way to the end of the phrase, the end of the scale. If we change up the scale patterns, we can work on phrasing in different ways. So one we might do is steps. So we're going up 4 notes, then we go up the next 4, the next 4, and so on and so forth. But the first note kind of makes a structure of a phrase. So if we do a C major scale like I just did, we start on C, go up to F, D up to G, E up to B. So we want to hear the C, D, E, the macro going up a scale combined with going up the scale in smaller increments. The last thing we can do with scales is work on articulation. So because we have direction, we're working on air support, scales are a great place to work on articulation and really give the tongue some assistance from the air. So if we have direction and we're giving good air support, again, we're going to help the tongue out in being light and consistent with the articulation. So hopefully some of these suggestions for how you can practice your scales and different things to focus on can help you get the most out of your scale practice. If you have any questions, be sure to drop them in the comments, like, subscribe, do all that great stuff. Check out the Patreon if you are so inclined, and we'll catch you in the next video. If you made it this far, thanks for watching through the entire video. I hope it was helpful. Normally this is where I have a card with links to my Patreon and my Etsy, but I wanted to take a second to give you an idea of what you're going to find at both of those. For my Patreon, there's one level, $5 a month, and that's to help keep these videos coming out. I know lessons can be expensive, and I want this information to be able to be found regardless of your situation, whether you can take lessons or not. The $5 a month also gets you access to a PWE Music Discord server, which if it's not up when you're watching this video, it should be soon. And as of right now, that's just an opportunity to ask me questions, get my thoughts on things, and hopefully as the community grows, you'll be able to get in touch with clarinetists and musicians from around the world. At my Etsy shop, you'll find custom woodworking, and applicable to this are custom reed cases. So as a woodworker, I enjoy making accessories for musical instruments, and everybody should have a reed case if you don't. And not that you need to have a fancy custom one, but I do offer 3D printed reed cases as well as custom wood cases. So hopefully you'll check out either one, give some support to the channel, and I'll keep these videos coming.